Hey,
show.
what's
I've
up?
been told I'm funny, which I am. I am hilarious. I'm basically a stand-up comedian, so hopefully people are peeing their pants from laughter every time I pronounce. It's important for me to keep my sense of humor when I create content. People are going to watch my videos and listen to me, so I might as well be funny so that they have a good time while they're literally wasting their time listening to me. So this video was me trying to be optimistic, yay, in this time and place, yay,
Why do I
ooh,
still have this? I don't even know.
yeah, being a woman is great, yes, I love this, woo,
Oh, 4 stamps.
yay,
Oh,
I'm so happy I won,
what is this?
yay, oh my gosh, this laugh is gonna turn into
That's,
crying.
that's what it's supposed to be.
Thanks guys for the support. I love you and I'll see you later. I love you guys. I love you. See you later.
How are you? See you later. Safe travels. Hey, how you doing? Be good.
I don't have room for any more quests. Screecher Spirits isn't even in the zone, is it? Perilous. Perilous might be good for now. Should I be there? Should I be Perilous? That's where I should be, maybe. Maybe not. Let's do it. Do this.
Alright, so today we are going to be repairing this garbage guitar cable you got from Amazon using a garbage soldering iron I got from Amazon. So, if you see here, joint of this guitar cable and one of the leads, I stood up with the guitar plugged in and the wire just snapped or ripped right where it was soldered to that lead. So when you open up this cable, it's pretty sturdy. It has this metal support here, but the only support this smaller wire has is a piece of plastic that's not very good. So you want to open it up, try to cut just the tip of the plastic away. If
Why does it
not
say 0?
enough of the wire is revealed.
Is that not working?
And then I bent this back metal support so that I can get this front metal support
really?
closer to the
Okay,
wire.
yes.
As you can see right there, you can see this wire here. Right now it's touching, but it's not making actual electrical contact. So it should be hot enough. Yeah. And then what I'm gonna try to do is heat up just the wire. Get it, since they're this multi-strand copper wire, which is better for audio. Just so that the solder quick. So you get the wires hot, and then just touch the solder to it. To 500 Celsius on this tiny little dial that LARPs. an actual type. Should be happy to get closer.
Can't do that yet.
This is a fat glob of stuff. It looks fine, but I'm gonna put it in this. I'll leave just yeah, that should be good. Let me see if I could. Okay. So as you can see, that front shorter lead should be making good contact now. It is pretty bad. It did a pretty bad job making it look nice, but it is definitely on that. So, shut up. Actually, I'm gonna put some tape around it. Some electrical tape. Alright, I forget what my electrical tape is, so I'm using some scotch tape. I'll use half a piece of scotch tape. So it's got this little foreskin that you gotta pull off. That's good. Let's just check to make sure it works. I'm just gonna plug it in and touch it because the issue it was having was that when it was plugged in, whether I was touching it or had it in a guitar, it made no noise at all. Oh, I could hear it already. Let's see if it breaks again while I'm putting this on. Sounds like it's not. Feels like it wants to.
Oh no, what's he doing?
Make sure you check that iron.
I don't have energy.
So before it was making exactly zero noise. But it sounded
I can't do that.
better than new right here. So good job, everybody.
I can't do that. The ability isn't ready yet. That ability isn't ready yet.
Okay.
So you know how I often speak about weird stories of people messing with their subconscious brain and having infinite lucid dreams and trying to time that way and spend years in dreams and then hallucinating things like that? Most of those stories come from lurking in the shadows.
Gotta get some coffee.
Lock in, okay? You need to sit and stay because I don't give you a vision to leave. Because I got some really interesting stories from here. And it all started, I think, a couple days ago when I was scrolling and I came across a post by a girl named Anna. And Anna claimed that she could bring objects from dreams into real life, bro. This girl Anna, she was 23 years old, and this was a huge post on LD for all, I think around maybe 2003. Where Anna was scared because she had a lot of lucid dreams. So often she'd realize she was dreaming, and sometimes when she woke up, she found herself clutching an object in her dream, and that object would apparently be in her bed when she woke up. Now, naturally, most people were replying to this post saying, that's not real, what are you talking about, it's not possible, just take a video and show us that of you fucking manifesting something in your bed. Anna was coming up with lots of excuses. She was saying, oh, I can't do that because my room's dark and like I can't sleep with a light on or some shit, so I can't record it. And she was saying she didn't feel comfortable showing the object. She said it's more like a little wooden dog back from her dream or something. And this actually wasn't shut down quickly. There were actually some people on the side of that saying, oh, quantum physics is actually I don't know what's possible. I've never done that personally, but the just interesting thing was that these were the kind of experiments people were speaking about in these forums in the early 2000s, and they actually got like hundreds of replies. Now, what's interesting is that a mysterious woman named Susan then came and replied to this post, where everyone was saying, oh, I know I'm trying to make a hoax. This is bullshit. Susan came to Anna. She told Anna, stop telling people about this, and Susan gave an ominous warning. She said, don't ever try to bring a human or any animal into real life. Now, why did Susan say this? She told Anna this because Anna said she'd been dreaming of her dead grandmother. She'd been dreaming basically that her grandmother was alive.
Should I jump in?
And she said that one time when she realized she was dreaming, she was clutching onto her dead grandmother in the dream, the same way she'd been clutching onto these objects that she manifested in real life after she woke. And then she suddenly realized she was clutching her grandmother, and she stopped because she obviously didn't want to wake up with a fucking corpse in her bed or some shit if she somehow manifested her grandmother into real life. Now, this may seem weird, all this may seem very strange or whatever, but it all links in. Just trust me, okay? Now, all this kind of went on. Most people decided it was a hoax, right? But there was some lucid dreamer who was willing to experiment with this. He was willing to try if he could manifest something from his dreams into real life. And this guy goes by the name of Pedro. Now, we need to speak about Pedro, okay? Because when I was looking through the forum and searching for Pedro, and I couldn't find information for it wouldn't let me access his profile for some reason. Once again, just ignore my voice cracks. But this guy, Pedro, I kept seeing references to him when I searched up his name. Some guy called him the One. Someone said he was the Dream God. He seemed like a kind of micro-celebrity who was like super good at lucid dreaming. And he wasn't dream used at all. He was just so we need to speak about Pedro's origin story, which I kind of pieced together from reading a lot of posts. Now, it really is this mysterious Pedro, the Dream God, that everyone was obsessed with on LD for all around 2004. This whole thing started when Pedro accidentally clicked on LD for all. He didn't know about this forum or lucid dreaming. He clicked on the link, found out about lucid dreaming, and he became obsessed with it. He started studying all asleep, he could incubate the dream and dream about whatever he wanted. Pedro thought about this and he realized he could just incubate lucid dreams. Why not just
I need to
choose
get
to dream
closer.
about
It's
becoming
too far
lucid?
away.
And he did that, and then he realized that he could just do this like forever, and he ended up with a 100% success rate and has lucid dreams every night, bro. Just from incubating lucid dreams. That's when he created Vile, the lucid dreaming technique visually incubated induced lucid dreams. Now this whole technique was about incubating and choosing to dream about becoming lucid, right? Like as you're falling asleep, just focus on becoming lucid. Now this is actually a big technique that lucid dreamers still use, and I actually made a video on it on YouTube, but I didn't know this guy had such a long. I didn't know about this. Now this whole thing just gets very deeper and deeper and deeper because Pedro wanted to push the limits of lucid dreaming. Similar to the guy in my liners who came up with him, wanted to dream an infinite lucid dream. Pedro wanted to push the limits and see what was possible. Because keep in mind, this was around 2004. Lucid dreamers were just getting gathered. They didn't really know what was possible yet. Lucid dreaming had just been proved in like the 80s. So it was a relatively recent thing, relatively recent phenomenon. So Pedro made a strange post saying, what if I until I hacked my brain? And in this post, Pedro started speaking about how, and keep in mind, by this time Pedro was lucid dreaming like every night. And in this post about hacking his brain, he started speaking about using his lucid dreams to edit his subconscious, right? And create false memories. He wanted to see if he could create false memories and do all this weird shit. Now he was kind of vague about it, and someone said, this is stupid. And someone replied saying it was stupid, and Pedro agreed. Pedro said, yeah, this is very stupid what I'm doing. I agree with you. It probably won't work, but there's only one way to find out. That's what Pedro was saying, bro. So after a while, though, when it kind of seemed he was making progress,
I can't do that.
vague, he suddenly disappeared. There were no replies from Pedro. And everyone was replying to this, asking, where did Pedro go? What happened to Pedro? Someone said, Pedro fuck up his brain. So this was kind of a big thing for the forum at the time. But Pedro did not completely disappear. A couple months later, he made a new post titled, I've done a lot in the last few months. Now this is where it starts getting even more interesting. We need to first, though, speak about an experiment that Pedro was doing, or rather a couple of experiments he was doing while he was trying to push the limits of lucid dreaming. One of these experiments, which inevitably is something all lucid dreamers want to do when they get really good, is time dilation. So spending years or months in a lucid dream when you're actually asleep for like half an hour or some shit, but tricking your brain into thinking you've been in a dream for like 4 fucking years. This is something Pedro did successfully. He said, once again, he was vague about how he achieved this, and I think he kind of struggled to explain it, but he said he had a lucid dream that lasted 4 fucking years, bro. 4 years! And he said in this lucid dream, he lost lucidity after the first few days, and the rest of the 4 years, he kind of just spent going with the flow, right? But he said after that, he had a lucid dream that seemed to last for 6 years. Keep in mind, he was only asleep like 40 minutes or some shit. 6 fucking years where he could do anything he wanted. He had complete freedom, or this is what he claimed. However, I actually kind of believe his claim of this. Sorry if I'm like shouting. I believe his claim of this. This shit's gonna be hype. Because he agreed with Stephen LaBerge. Stephen LaBerge
I don't have a target.
improved lucid dreaming at Stanford. Stephen LaBerge basically said, time dilation in a lucid dream isn't real. You can't actually time dilate.
See ya
If you have a lucid dream which seems like it lasted
What
1
you
week or
want?
something,
Later.
it's actually just because the scenes are changing. Kind of like cuts being made in a film, and you can have stuff like false memories being inserted in the dream as well, which will trick your brain into thinking that more time has passed, but it's not actually real time dilation. Now, Pedro agreed with this. Pedro said even after his 6-year dream and his 4-year dream, he said it wasn't actually like that time being passed. It was his brain kind of just being tricked. So I'm getting so fucking hyped about this. What he said, he wasn't so sure about this after another experiment he did. Now, this other experiment was that he tried to speak in real life while he was dreaming. So his goal was to have a
I'm
lucid
out of
dream
range.
and to speak out loud in the lucid dream and then hear himself through like a voice recorder or something. Now, this is a kind of experiment which I've seen a few people do, and I saw some countries actually succeed with this, where his wife heard him speaking while he was dreaming, and he literally was like speaking to his wife while he was aware that he was in a dream. So, I'm sorry if you don't know about lucid dreaming and you're not into this shit, all this stuff, I'm not familiar with it. But anyways, Pedro succeeded with this experiment. But he found something very weird when he succeeded. He found that he had a dream, right? That was like a 30-minute dream, like he was asleep for 30 minutes. He said that he spoke normally, but he said a weird thing happened when he time dilated, and he had a dream that lasted what felt like 4 years, right? Pedro said in this dream, the time dilated one, his speaking was very quick. His speaking was very rapid at a much higher level. Now, why is this weird? Pedro was saying this was weird because it shouldn't be happening. If there was real time dilation, and it was only the dream changing scenes and cutting shit off, trick you into thinking you were there for a longer time, shouldn't his speech just be cut off or normal speaking? But since his speech was at a rapid pace, might that not mean that there was actually time dilation? And actually he was living for 4 years in a lucid dream when his brain was just processing it incredibly quick. Now, this is a whole fucking weird thing, bro. Like, what the fuck? He was doing all these weird experiments that made him question his earlier belief that time dilation wasn't actually happening. Now, this is still a new thing. We still don't know how time dilation works in a lucid dream. He was not questioning Stephen LaBerge's theory or that time dilation was actually like real, right? And there was something else actually that was even more interesting. Now, at this point, when he'd been making this proposal about how he was doing a lot of stuff in the past few months, that's what I was talking about before I went off on the time dilation tangent. He was speaking about something that happened which was the most impressive thing he'd been doing. And he'd been spending 90% of his lucid dreams during his disappearance on trying to fuck with his subconscious, trying to do things which no one had ever done. And he found something which he found very hard to explain. He said that he no longer visualized, he no longer saw things in his head. He said that now when he thought of something, he saw it in real life. When he thought of an object, he could see it in front of him as if it was really there. Pedro, through his lucid dreams or through fucking his subconscious, had now unlocked what the Torbomances call imposition or neuromancy, what my liners called advanced vision control, and what Pedro now named mind sight. Pedro had now unlocked the ability to hallucinate anything he wanted.
Glad I could help.
Very much struggling to explain how he
Keep it real.
He was saying that basically
Yo, have a good one. Be good. Have a good one.
the real world was actually being seen
Keep
by
it
the
real.
eyes.
Be good.
Like, really being seen properly. It was more like everything you see in real life is being sent to the eyes, and then that data is being sent to your mind. So actually your mind is just making a kind of reconstruction of reality that it's not actually seeing. Your mind is just being sent data, right? So Pedro said that when he realized this, it took him 3 months to do it, but he realized that by thinking about everything as just data that was not really real, he could create objects in front of his eyesight that were there as if like they were actually there, right? And he was saying this is all really fucking weird.
I miss money, friend.
And he spoke with a user named Jar Rod. And Jar Rod also said he had a similar thing, but not on the same level as Pedro. And when Jar Rod saw what Pedro was doing and saw that Pedro was fucking with his brain, and all these
Glad I could
proposals
help.
he was making, Jar Rod, provided Pedro with the infamous mind killer quote from Jude. is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. So these motherfuckers were full on doing some Jezery fucking mind training shit on LD for all, bro. And no one knows about this. I only found out about it because I was clicking through random archive shit like 2003. So he be doing all this shit. And after this, Pedro kind of disappeared. He slowly stopped posting. He learned how to time dilate. He learned how to speak out loud while he was dreaming. He learned how to hallucinate anything he wanted, and he called this mind sight. He was becoming a kind of fucking god, but he disappeared over time. And where did Pedro go? No one knows. But where did my Linus go? Where did all these people go who were on these forums, who unlocked all these weird abilities?
Did I
And
train
his
at 42?
history is bound to fucking repeat itself. People ask in the future, where did Tiger 123 go, bro? What happened to all his powers? History is just going to repeat, and it's just an endless cycle. But no, I found all that shit really interesting. And there was also an experiment on LD4 around 2004 where a bunch of girls were trying to use something like auto-suggestion and manifestation to increase their breast size, bro. That was literally a fucking thing they were doing on the forum. So there were all these weird experiments people were doing, mainly to look into increasing my breast size and doing that shit. But no, I thought that was interesting because this Pedro guy preceded my Linus. He preceded all these people. Like, he was like the pre-Socratic philosophers before Socrates, except just lucid dreamers and like weird people trying to fuck with their brains. But like, 2004, bro. Like, this shit's crazy. And was there someone before Pedro? Was there someone on the forum from the 1980s doing this shit? Who knows? Maybe we'll have to find it out. But that's all I have to say for that. Goodbye. Leave me a mean comment. I love you. If you have weird information like this, please send it to me as well. I will give you full credit. Farewell. Farewell. Goodbye. I love you.
honor, friend. Light bless you. Well met. Go with honor, friend.
virus invoking and informing history, holiness, and heresy. Each week, I, your host, Miguel Connor, commandeers your connection to bring you the most accepted and rejected scholars and requests to your attention. Fun, compelling,
I'm not
and
gonna do that right
deeply
now.
weird, this is the blow your mind cocktail party conversation you've always wanted to listen in on. And you deserve to be here, for you are a shiny, crazy diamond that should be seen and can ignite the universe with so much wonder.
What's on your
And
mind?
yes, we are doing a nice open Sunday podcast. I hope everybody's had a relaxing weekend, navigating the simulation and this Truman Show, but you are, yes, cultivating your inner light. And it's always a pleasure when we are joined by Angel Millar, this time to discuss his latest book, and as I say, something really relevant to my life and the work I'm doing, and that is Supernatural Woman and the Male Initiate. Angel, thank you very much for coming back on the show.
Oh, thank you. It's always good to speak with you.
Likewise,
you?
my friend. And with us too, we've got the
Safe
Dog Vance.
travels.
Vance, how are you doing?
Oh, chugging along. Sunday morning. Supernatural women have a very special
Well
place in my
met.
life, so I'm going to be listening very carefully.
Be good.
Angels.
Thanks.
And I see the audience already going in. Good to see you, Grandpa. XX Julie, Mary XS, good to see you. If you have any questions, as always, please super chat them. If you are a member of YouTube or a Patreon or AV Prime and we recognize you, we of course just ask away and we'll get to your questions. As always, support Aeon Biden any way you can. Become a member. I do take crypto, one-time donations, and of course, if you're looking for voiceover expertise or help with any of your projects, keep me in mind, whether it's a documentary or a commercial or anything of that sort. Indeed, indeed. Well, let's get started. Let me put up here the comments so people can see them if they want, or Angel can see them and decide what's going on in the world. Tell us, Angel, what is the thesis of your book?
Well, the thesis or the history traces this phenomenon of a supernatural woman who appears to men. And of course, supernatural women, supernatural men, gods, deities, all this kind of thing have appeared to people throughout time, throughout history. But this, I would say, is in essence a special class of being which is associated with literature, poetry, oracular, prophecy, eloquence, dreams, and death.
Interesting. So, what do you mean by special? What separates, let's say, this type of woman with the visitation of a goddess or something like that?
Yeah, well, typically it is associated with the individual character of the man, and associated with one man rather than just being able to visit lots of different people. So that would certainly be one thing. But again, it does seem to be associated, especially with power of speech and literature, language, poetry, and dreams.
And this female power, as you said, initiates the man. Helps them out on his hero's journey, if you will.
How are you?
Yes. It seems to be mostly that she will appear at some point in the travels of the male initiate or man, you could just say. Yeah. And will have some effect,
Here
some
there.
transformative
Good.
effect on the consciousness and the understanding. Yeah.
And in a lot of these instances, there is some sort of, you might say, lovey-dovey going. She's not just saying, thou must do this and thou must do that, oh hero.
No.
There is
right.
something, there's an intimacy. Why does this happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, and you do find also supernatural male beings or supernatural men that seem to have the same effect on women, though not always to the same degree, particularly in Norse culture. But yeah, it's interesting. I think we'd have to theorize about why that is. I mean, one reason, of course, might be that there's just a natural attraction of the human male to the human-looking female, or the deity or the being to a male of some attractive appearance, perhaps. But leaving aside the sort of more mundane or natural attractiveness, obviously there is an association of sexual ecstasy with spiritual ecstasy as well. I think probably best exemplified by Saint Teresa of Avila or Avila, who talks in very sexual terms about a very beautiful male angel who appears holding a golden spear, and he thrusts it into her entrails, and she screams or moans. She moans with this beautiful pain, exquisite pain, which is clearly sexual, and her head is thrown back in ecstasy. And obviously,
What's on your mind?
a very clear
What's your back?
sexual
Off
symbolism
with
of the
you.
spear entering
What's
the
your
woman's
back?
body, and this ecstatic pain and moaning of this saint. But this is a purely spiritual vision at the same time, but has very, very strong sexual connotation as well. It should be said, there's a very little known Saint Marguerite Kemp, who lived during the 13th century in England, and I think it's interesting to note that hers is the first autobiography in the English language, although she dictated it because she was illiterate. But it's interesting that we have this phenomenon of literature again. But she saw visions of Christ that were, well, at least had an undertone of sexuality about them. Jesus turning up saying, I will lay in your bed, and whatever is done to me on earth, I will do to you in heaven. And this kind of thing, which is fairly shocking and certainly quite unusual for Christianity, though not unheard of course. So sexuality seems to be a kind of synonym for spiritual ecstasy and union with God, of course, or union with some kind of supernatural being, or could be a greater proof of the attractiveness or the attraction from the divine to the earthly than this sexual attraction.
No, well said. I think that's a good theory. In so many ways we could go about it.
Yeah.
Sexuality, of course, is a great initiation. When we
for
hit
sure.
puberty, we change, we're
Yeah.
initiated.
Yeah.
The Egyptians, we can go to the primordial times, sex magic was extremely important for various reasons, to honor the earth, fertility, union. Sex is one of the biggest transfers of information, timeline. So there's probably, there's a million ways to do that. And I think Kemp, she eventually cut off her husband for sex. Some things didn't go well, so she had her own issue because she had to serve Jesus. Yeah. Have you heard of the concept of manic pixie dream girl?
I have not.
Okay. It's this character that appears in movies, and you've probably seen her. You've got this sort of brooding, geeky male character, and this woman appears. She usually has colored hair, and she's kind of she's kind of goofy and on the margins and different. And they say her sole purpose is to bring into this male character. I think some of the movies are like Elizabeth Town. What are some other movies? Some say Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Garden State. I mean, you've kind of seen the character, and it's been criticized because they say, well, this female, this goofy female is there to sort of awaken the male, but she has no agency or anything. But I'm like, no, she's an initiator. She is a female power initiating this man to learn by themselves, and some have found that there are movies where it's the opposite. You've got the dorky guy, artist or whatever, and he helps this woman find herself.
I'm out of range.
you've seen it in the
Well, I'm not the biggest movie goer, so I don't know that I have that.
Yeah, and well, let's get back to the book. Let's get back to the literature and history. In your book, you mention, hopefully I can say it right, Inhit Wana, and you say she embodies the archetype of a magic woman in Mesopotamia. Tell us about her.
Yeah, that's actually from the forward, right? So she would actually be more of an expert than I am. But yeah, I believe she was the first female poet that we know of, and a high priestess. So one could see her as some kind of historical forerunner, but much more accurate telling.
Too far away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're talking about forward, like a lineage thing, yeah. Quite a woman that forget about history.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, this figure obviously is in Hellenistic culture. And you say this magical woman, one of her appearances would be the muse, right?
Well, I mean, you can certainly relate it to the muse. I think in ancient Greek culture it would be something like that. And you had a particular class of men that
I don't have a
be
target.
dedicated to a nymph, and in a sense would marry the nymph and give her offerings. I would also give offerings to the gods as well, goddesses as well, but seem to have a special relationship with a particular nymph. Would often be outside in the wilds or in a cave or something like that. But yeah.
And it seems the big example was Socrates, and he claimed to be overtaken by one of these beings.
That's right, yeah. So in one of
I'm out of
Plato's
range.
dialogues, Socrates says that he's speaking much more eloquently all of a sudden because he's been exposed to a nymph that lives around his which is a curious thing to say, and we would take it, I'm sure, as
I can't do
purely metaphorical, but it wouldn't have been seen as such at that time. So yeah, so we find it Socrates, we find it in all kinds of places.
And even, yeah, even in the Odyssey, obviously with the Christopher Nolan movie coming out, there's been a lot of tension on Homer. Glad Odysseus, would he be a perfect example, Angel? He has to spend time with other things, and they have to have affairs. They spend a lot of intimate time. In our modern times, we're like, well, what the hell, is he cheating on his wife? But this is supposed to be going home to his old lady, but when you look at it through the eyes of your book and
Yeah.
how they saw it, these, again, Odysseus to be able to break through the chains of Poseidon and fate that were put on him, has to be,
Yeah.
these are sort of initiations for him.
Yeah, very much so. That's it. Yeah, usually it seems to be a pattern that the man, in a sense, comes out of the wilderness or is on some kind of journey, and then
Crumpled man.
at some point in the journey he encounters this supernatural woman or sorceress or something like this, and she,
I should pick it up or is it
she in a
dropped?
sense,
I can't do that yet.
Jordan Peterson always talks about the woman representing chaos, but in this sense, in this context, the woman really represents order. So the man is this pure energy and physical body that's wandering around, and she's able to organize him and or put him in order and give him certain knowledge and information. So, for example, in the myth of Sigurd, the Dragon Slayer, he comes across the Valkyrie, who's wandering around in nature, he sees the mountain, there's a ring of fire at the top, and he penetrates the ring of fire, and there's this beautiful Valkyrie, this wish maiden, and she wakes up, and they embrace in that sense, but she gives him knowledge not only of the runes or of magic, but of how to interact, you know, keep away from this kind of woman, be careful around this kind of man, watch out for this. So she also educates his character and teaches him how to go forward in the world.
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, so there is this kind of dual path. Okay, there's magic, but there's also you've got to interact in the world as well.
Exactly. I always, yeah, you chaos always wins because it's better organized.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it has a teller that has a specific agenda, and I think a lot of this agenda, right, it goes to reconnect to the more ancient primordial powers that, like you said, these men of civilization who are out in the wilderness, who are trying to find some new innovation to help society navigate the powers of chaos.
Yeah, that's very absolutely. Yeah, that's
Energy.
Better organized. Now, going to moving east, shall we? You also talk about Dana, which appears in this rest theology. Tell the audience
Yeah, so she is this natural female being essentially who stands on the bridge of Sinbad, which separate
By the
joins
light of the moon.
life and death.
Ugh.
And
Wow.
it's not just man, but if the deceased, when they cross the bridge and meet her, if the deceased person has an ugly character, she appears ugly. If they have a beautiful character, she appears to be beautiful. If they're degenerate individuals, damn them to the underworld, or to damnation. But if they are of good character, she will lead them across the bridge to the other world.
I'm out of range. I can't do that.
yeah, and as some have said, it might have been involved as part of his tradition. Of course, you have Diane, that's sort of, we'll probably call her a witch goddess, but it's more like a nature primordial chaos. That was revered by these ancient people. There's a reason why the Temple of Artemis was one of the 7 great wonders of the world, because ancient people really took her seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed.
What inspired you to write this book? Was there any sort of or what decided?
Yeah, well, a couple of things should be said about that. The first thing is I wasn't actually planning to write a book on this subject. I was actually writing a series of essays, and it just started to emerge as a theme. But at the same time, I was experiencing a lot of disruption necessarily, but transformation in my life, and at the same time also accompanying that dreams of this black-haired woman, and as you might automatic writing as well, though I think that's slightly cheapens it. And what was coming through was this particular goddess, that was a Dravidian Hindu goddess. I'm not going to say which one, but it wasn't speaking to me, and this was also having a great effect on my life. And so, because it was experiencing it, and it was emerging in my writing as well, I felt that it really should be focused on, and it should become a book. And I don't write to see my name on the cover of books. That's a very nice thing. I write books because I want to spend a year or a couple of years thinking about something really deeply and trying to get to the bottom of it. So I felt compelled, you could say.
Yeah. She told you, she gave you your orders, and
That's right, very much so, yeah.
refusing the orders can lead to very bad things, right, Angel? Because these female powers aren't very kind tonight.
Yeah, that's certainly possible, and there are plenty of dark images of female beings.
What do you need? For the Horde.
Shakespeare, something like that.
Straight.
Plenty of dark and demonic, female beings.
I got the best deals anyway.
But yeah, one should always
Keep it
be
real. Have a good one. Keep it real.
Always be careful, but yeah, always do what they say.
Yeah.
The stories all say the same thing. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I used to stay in a Benedictine monastery.
Have a good one.
The monk said to me once, "It's like having
Be
30
good."
wives." And
Keep it real.
In a certain sense, I suppose we have to approach these female beings also like a wife that, you know, they might not always be in a good mood, or you know, we have to not necessarily do everything
Be
they
good.
say, but you know, take it very seriously.
It is, and it's different. I'm sharing something personal, but I'm doing this project, and again, the god Artemis told me to write it, so of course she said jump, I said how high, right? And then I don't even know if it's a revelation, but then I was like, Angel, just realized the hero's journey is a scam in the sense that it's only for men. It's a linear evolutionary thing. Women have many heroes' journeys going, many timelines going, at different times ending, and they're all circular. There's no beginning. You know, a woman is already a mother in her future. She's already her ancestors. Her mind is going to different timelines, and of course I dared to ask my wife about that, and she's like, well, duh. You know, it was like, so I realized that's, yeah, big difference. So yeah, ladies out there, let me know, but I don't, the hero's journey might be a scam. Don't follow it. You have something completely different that we men probably will never understand. That's fine. It's not our job to understand, right, Angel? It's to do.
That's right. I don't think so. Yeah.
I can't do that.
What about you, Vance? What did your muse tell you?
My muse is it's been a long journey. Originally, I was full energy, program, and all sorts of things. And it was really, there were no demands on me. It was more of a loving type of thing. It was trying to introduce a feeling about myself. That's a basic love of myself. And it brought me to tears. So, but it turned out that it was a thing that was present all throughout my life that I didn't recognize. At one point, she came out. And I'm referring to Alethea. So that's kind of how it went for me. Kind of grateful that there were huge demands. Although there, you know, I did things that were origin relationship. I didn't feel it was a demand at all. Sometimes I wish I would have more direct contact because over the years, kind of things faded. But it got me to thinking. Your Angel, your research in your book got me to thinking of well, what is the modern interpretation, you know, of the modern injection of these figures into our society? Like I was thinking of that. You remember Belle Delphine with the pointy ears on the internet? Kind of crazy pixie girl.
Okay.
On
I need to
TikTok.
get
I don't think there's somebody that's on TikTok, and I don't either. But, you know, she was so good as that. But also, I was wondering if any Alethea is actually a figure from Gnosticism. One of the Aeons. And I was wondering if you had any in your travels and research any women manifestations to people that were from Gnostic Aeonic.
I haven't come across that. Or at least no one's told me of that. But that doesn't mean that it hasn't.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
You think you went to Sophia Mrs. Mind? I'm sure a lot of you.
Yeah.
We all want wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Or when Rudolf Steiner said, wisdom is crystallized pain. If you want wisdom, you gotta go through the gauntlet to be wisdom.
I'm out of range.
Wisdom teeth, right?
Yeah.
I like what Julie wrote. Serving folklore, Baba Yaga is not just a witch, not just evil. She can choose to be either bad or good, witch or woman. If she wants, yes. We have the caricature, but as Dr. Joanna Kuyava shows us, he's also very multi-dimensional Eastern European. supernatural woman that serves different men and destroys different men and families. So, Serbian folklore has a female that hangs on distress, who eventually turns out to be the one who shows courage and bravery and becomes the Herod. Well, there you go. Looks like the Serbians got some good mythology going, rocking the world. Well, let's move to talk about a big figure, one of the big guys.
I need to get closer.
And is guarding people, that is Mr. Odin himself, who is just Mercury and drag. That's my thing, he's just Hermes who decided to wear different clothes, but tell us how the supernatural woman and Odin interact.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, obviously there are goddesses that one could talk about, but I focus, I think, rightly on Gunlock. Invoker is a name that Odin gives himself, meaning something like misfortune or worker. And to make a very long story short and to get to the essence, he wants the poetic
Too
being,
far away.
which will can transform any human being into a poet, which we should regard as meaning something like a magician as well. But it wants to give to the gods where it's more impressive effect. And he's taken to the mountain of Nidborg and the rocks inside, where he finds the giantess Gunlock and lays with her for 3 nights and is given from her poetic mead, and she gives it to him while she is seated on a golden stool or golden throne.
I need to get
And
closer.
then once he has drunk that, he turns himself into an eagle and
It's
flies
too far
away
away.
through the top of the mountain. And as I mentioned, some of the drops fall to the earth, and anyone who receives it is turned into a poet. And I like this in relation to ancient Greek nympholepsy, where the nympholept is dedicated to a nymph, often having a shrine or a mountain or something like that. There does seem to be quite a strong resemblance, which doesn't mean that Odin is Mercury and drag, but I think, I'm not saying it comes from ancient Greece, but I do think that it probably comes from a shared source of European tradition. But there are some interesting connections to it. Some of it related to metallurgy, which seems to have some kind of undertone of metallurgy in there. So even Nidborg, it's speculated about what it might mean. Edred Thorson said that it means knit mountain, where things are knit together. It's also thought to meant clashing rocks, which I don't think it is, because the mountain doesn't actually clash. But it can also be interpreted from Old Icelandic as meaning a forged mountain. And again, the Gunlock is on a golden stool. The very beginning of the myth that begins with this witch who is killed and burned, and her name is Golvig, meaning gold drunk. So there seems to be some connection there as well, so that there is this strange undertone of metallurgy in that, which again, even in 20th century England, there's a sexual metaphor of going at it hammer and tongs, which comes straight from metallurgy. So and at that time, of course, it was still used. Almost no one would have seen that kind of metallurgy going on, but it seems to be pretty intuitive that there's some connection between metallurgy and sex. So.
Yes, it is. Act of creation, act of shaping things.
Yeah, and even in Norse mythology as well, people think of Thor as this war god, but notably he has red hair, sparks come out of his beard when he's angry. He has a whetstone embedded in his forehead, those are used to starting sparks and certainly seems to be some connection there to sexuality and metallurgy.
Yeah.
I'm out of range.
Yeah, plus swords, right? The sword. Right?
Yeah, well, I think the Latin name for sheath is I'm getting that wrong, but
Vagina, yeah. Sheath is. Vagina means sheath in Greek.
yeah.
And tell us about that. I think you mentioned before the hero, but a little bit more on the Valkyries. Philgia. Tell us how these Valkyries figures work according to in the Norse tradition.
Yeah, well, the Valkyries, of course, picked the chosen slain from the battlefields, you know, the warriors that were heroic, that died and were taken to Valhalla to prepare for the final battle at the end of time. So they're important in that sense. And our warrior, it's brave, it's like the Valkyrie to come down and take Valhalla. But there's also a lesser known figure called Vilgia, which means to follow or folger or something, we'll pronounce it. And she is a supernatural woman who is associated just with one man who was thinking like, if she got fed up with him or he acted in a way that was disciplinary, she could leave him and even desert him for another man. And if that happened, that he would probably die soon after. But there's a very interesting saga, medieval saga, Gisli saga. And Gisli has a dream of his Vilgia, like there are down to dream within and one of them is Vilgia, is very nice to him. She takes him to a large house in a mansion, and it's beautifully decorated, furnishings everywhere, and she says, after you die, you come and live here with me.
Too far away.
There seems to be some kind of indication of a sexual relationship between them. There's this sort of bad, wrong, bad people that turns up and tries to destroy the relationship, poison things between them, which is very cute.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or definitely a manic pixie dream girl. And I'm gonna interview, go check it out. I think it's a fascinating concept. But again, it comes down to initiation. Again, men need initiation. Women have many timelines that are initiated over, sometimes in the daily way. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
The way it is. The dream women are amazing.
Out of range.
What about the Norns? How would you place the Norns, or why did the Norns come into your book? As there seemed like just again a rebooted version of the Fates.
Well, there certainly are the Fates, that's right, yeah. Yes, and they do appear in points in a man's life or a person's life as kind of initiators of stages of life. Obviously, before birth and at death, so, yeah. So there is some kind of similarity between all of these figures, all of these supernatural female beings in that culture, at least.
There is, yeah. For the audience, yeah. If you have any adventures, put them in the chat. If you have any sober chats, please let us know. Always helps keep the lights of the Pleroma on, the Red Pill cafeteria open, and hopefully Artemis keeps her somewhat happy. But let us know if you have any yourselves. In Norse mythology, just to refresh my mind, after Ragnarok, does everything just reboot again, Angel, or is it?
Well, it's a little unclear, but it would seem to me that everything is destroyed, but something survives. And there is some indication that there'll be a new god or a new beginning. And there's some idea that Christianity played into that, or had some kind of effect, which is not impossible, because Christianity was having an effect even with the so that it could have affected mythology is highly likely. But yeah, there's a new beginning after the total cataclysmic destruction.
Yeah, I think that's what really, as I mentioned in a presentation last week, that's what separates pagan from Abrahamic, because Abrahamic again is pure male solar.
Too far away.
And that's it. But in these things, it's almost like everything is recycled. You have to eternal, or even Gnostic texts, even the secret book of John, the Gospel of Mary, the Valens always begins and it goes to the root and it goes back to the source, and then, well, what's gonna happen next?
Right.
Consciousness decide it wants to go on another adventure and recreate everything.
Yeah, that's right. The Titans are basically the gods of the previous gods. Same probably with the giants in Norse mythology. And when we think, for example, of Saturn as this darkness, iron, but actually it was the god of the golden age previously. So there is a cycle for sure.
Exactly. What do you think, Vance? Or do you have any questions?
Well, gosh, it's an interesting thing. I wonder how many religious scenarios have their whole, supernatural realm destroyed. Were there any other, besides, of course, gods got destroyed? I mean, what happened to the gods of Olympus? Where'd they go, right? They didn't have a Ragnarok, but maybe something else happened because they kind of faded out mostly.
Yeah.
Prometheus did say he had the prophecy that even Zeus would fall. You know, we think of gods as eternal, but their view they were immortal, but they had their time. Everybody
So they faded out as opposed to a great battle.
We don't know. We don't know, but I'm sure something like that happened. Well, let's move into medieval times where the supernatural woman is very, very prevalent. Folks got it from ancient tradition.
Yeah.
Got it. I think, what do you think is the most famous one? For some reason, I think of Sir Gawain. Would you say it's Sir Gawain?
Yeah, so it's the Wayne and the Green Knight, the path of the warrior mystic, but in this book I look at the wife of from Chaucer's tales, which has been largely forgotten. People know the Miller's Tale, which is a but which, it's just so typical, isn't it? But the wife of Bath is a
Warlock,
very
huh?
interesting tale, and it should be said that
I'm out of
it's like an inversion. It's a Wayne and the Green Knight is an inversion of the wife of Bath. Maybe I'll touch on that in a minute, but to continue the story, it's set in a time when very secret hadn't yet all been converted to Christianity. So,
Hail to the
there we
night.
are.
I can't do
But
that.
it's about a knight, the
Too far
degenerate
away.
knight. And he, speaking euphemistically, since this is going to be, he forces himself on a woman who is then dragged to court and judged by King Arthur and his knights, and they say this guy is a degenerate, a criminal, and off with his head.
Only one
And
gizzard.
the ladies of the courts get together and they say, no, spare him, spare his life, and we will send him out for a year to the wide world, and if he can find out what ladies really want in that time, he will be spared his life. So the knight is forced out to the world to go look for the answer to what women really want for a year, and people tell him all kinds of things, to wear expensive clothing, their husbands to die, so they won't be married. It's very modern in this respect, and he's completely confused. Then it gets to the end of the year and he thinks, oh no, I have to turn around and I'm going to lose my head, I'm going to be beheaded with the axe. And as he turns around, he sees
Off and away.
And in their place is the ugliest
You have a great day now.
hag you could ever imagine or that has ever been seen. But by this point, he's desperate. And he tells the woman in this predicament, she says, okay, I'll tell you what women really want. If you promise to give me anything that I ask for, and this sounds like a great deal in the heat of the moment. So they go back, and he tells the ladies, Guinevere, that women really want to have dominion over their husbands. And the women gathered say, he's got it, he's right. No, we're not going to cut his head off. He's good to go. And then the old lady said, the old hag says, well, he promised to give me anything that I asked for, and I want to marry him. And they say, that's fine. Of course, he complains and doesn't want to do it, but is forced to. Then they go home, they're married, she goes to bed, and she keeps calling him, come to bed, my love, it's such a joyous day, why are you so unhappy to have married the ugliest woman on the planet? And is clearly teasing him and has a bit of a sense of humor, it has to be said. And then he becomes so wound up by this being a total degenerate that he starts
Need assistance?
insulting her,
Alrighty then.
saying all kinds of horrible, cruel things to her. And then she, in turn, says, you think you're an aristocrat, were born into the money, but being an aristocrat is about character, and you don't have one, and you're just a horrible person. And what about Jesus? Of course, this is the time when everyone's a Christian in England. What about Jesus? You're not like that. You're just this degenerate, and you are not Christian. You're a terrible person. And 3 days of this, and he's completely beaten down. And she says to him at that point, I'll tell you what, I can either stay as this ugly old hag and be faithful to you, or I can turn myself into a beautiful woman, but you won't know if I'm faithful to you or not. And what should I do? And he says, I can't decide. You have to decide what's best. And she says, are you saying that I have dominion over you then? Which is what every woman wants. And he says, yes. So she turns herself into this beautiful woman, and because she now has dominion over him, she says, I'll still be faithful to you. And then she does say, and you have dominion over me, so it's an equal thing, and they embrace very passionately and are kissing, and but what's going on? Well, who is this hideous old hag who turns herself into a beautiful woman? Well, obviously she is a fairy, but a supernatural woman. But what we also notice is that when his character is ugly, she is ugly in appearance. And when his character is beautiful, her appearance is beautiful. So that her appearance, on the bridges in that interaction, her appearance reflects his character.
Very true, or Baba Yaga, or something. And on a little side quest here,
Enough energy.
the lady of the lake, who do you think she is? Again, Seven proposed. She's part of this Dana Artemis Muse. And again, that of her change. She's got this word. Any theories on your end, or whatever you say?
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with that stuff.
I guess Monty Python, a watery torrent.
I don't have energy. I can't do that yet.
Yeah.
I need to get closer.
And in modern times, this book is it's a wonderful read. It's not easy, but you know what I mean. It's all science that you go throughout history. So in modern times,
I need a target.
she manifests or is somewhat understood or devoted to, and one of those movements is Wicca. Tell us how she appears in Wicca.
Yeah, so I think like a lot of people, I always thought Wicca was not serious or not very serious, and some practitioners might be giving that impression. But when I did read the Wiccan rituals, I was struck that there is some level of seriousness in it. It does seem some aspects to be quite intense, saying quite seriously in it. But in with female
far
high
away.
priestess, the high priest
3.
Yes, women into quicker, and it's not that the High Priestess is a superwoman, per se, but I do get the feeling you can argue it's a kind of folk memory of some kind of supernatural woman or supernatural man who is doing this initiation, and there's a kind of ritual enactment of this folk memory.
And it's always, it's always
I'm out of range.
fascinating. You read about the Vestal Virgins literally kept the Empire together. Without them, there would be no Rome. The world, all these things. You've got this dichotomy where the female power of chaos sustains life and civilization, but at the same time we have to repress this power. We've got to consolidate it and trap it, because this power is also the destruction of our civilization, right? If we let it loose.
Well, I mean, it could be, but anything that comes out of balance is a threat to civilization, I would say. So it could be male, it could be female, it could be too much order, it could be too much chaos. It's difficult to keep these things in balance, of course.
It always is. It always is. And the other one too is talk about Mr. Austin Osmond's there and the figure you call Witch Matters.
Right.
Tell us about this in there.
Yeah, so it's intriguing when you get a few characters like Gerald Gardner and Alexander's and Austin Spare in Great Britain before the playing around that time, claiming that they were by a witch. And maybe it's not always some speculation. This is possible. I suspect if that's the case, that Spare probably embellished her a great deal. But she, according to him, was a witch, possessed the kinds of supernatural powers that initiated him by this fully inadequate, I would say not really okay. And there does seem to have been something slightly sexual about it as well.
Oh, that guy died.
That was his experience. So he really was claiming to have been initiated into an ancient witch cult by this woman.
I'm out of range.
Teaching him magic, some kind of sexual relationship as well. So again, there's this strange phenomenon of supernatural initiating the man into these mysteries. I don't think there's a lot of evidence of witchcraft in Spare's work. He's mostly known for his development of sigil magic, which was in a certain sense influenced by Freud and Jung, and maybe indirectly by hypnosis as well. Certainly he was practicing automatic writing, things like this. But nevertheless, whether he was embellishing it or not, he certainly seemed to believe that he'd been initiated by this natural witch type woman. And he later on, although very obscure in his time, later on was really revived by early chaos magicians and by temple psychic youth as well, who are sometimes lumped in with that, but are more Crowleyan. And over the last few decades, it's become much more popular and much more well known than he was even, I think, 40 years ago.
That's
Indeed, he's one of the founders. What about
inside.
Freemasonry? That doesn't seem that much. The only thing
Inside.
and again, I am no expert, but I always think of Solomon
I do,
and
but I
Queen of
don't
Sheba.
think
The
it's
tradition say that
This one's so easy to
in a
get.
way
Might as
she
well.
initiated him to his magical
Right.
powers.
Yeah, that story is not in
No, it's taking
Freemasonry,
a
should be
spot.
said, but and Freemasonry is, in most cases, very male. But the intriguing thing about it being very male is that you get a lot of imagery of women in Freemasonry, so or female beings in Freemasonry, which is not really a part of the official teaching, let's say, but it's a way to be represented. So in Freemasonry, there's faith, hope, and charity. But in
Buzzards.
Masonic,
Ah,
like this
potential
painting
customer.
behind me, which I painted
I can
Have
do
a
that.
good one.
something years ago.
Be good.
Which is similar
Have a
to
good one.
Sonic
Keep it real.
It will look something like that.
Inventory's full. Shit.
On the first degree or entered apprentice tracing board, you find a ladder with faith, hope, and charity represented by 3 female beings or 3 women, 3 female angels, or whatever we might conceive of. And that's, again, it's not
Adapt.
part of the
Be
Masonic
good.
teaching that
Have
they
a
are
good one.
female, but that's
Keep it
how they
real.
really represent it. And one could argue that something is coming through the artist, some kind of folk memory. Are these norms re-emerging? They can't be repressed, or the weird sisters, as in Shakespeare. But I would say,
Be good.
that we could argue.
Time is money, friend.
There's a vendor right
That
here.
they
That's right.
could be said to be the anima of the junior warden, senior warden, and master, worshipful master, the 3 highest officers of a Masonic lodge. And so it seems to imply that there is some kind of transcendence up this ladder, but that we are following I thought one female being who keeps changing as we change, rather like the fairy in The Wife of Bath, or these 3 sort of supernatural women who are leading us from heaven to the earth. And of course, in alchemy, we do find this figure of nature as a woman. She's being unveiled in one etching I have in the book from the 18th century, from the Golden Rosicrucian alchemical text. It says, I unveil her so that you can follow her. And the word follow, again, goes back to the Filgia, to follow, or Folga, to follow. So it's kind of intriguing that there is this notion of following this supernatural woman that kind of appears in different ways.
Yeah. Oh, she'll make herself
Was I supposed to stay back at that other
Anything
can?
from you or the audience?
We have one thing, which is question. Wasn't it the women who had to take the men or were?
Do that.
What can I do? This is not the time to do.
I mean, female warriors sometimes as well.
Nice.
Fought the
Got
Romans
it.
and unfortunately was defeated and came to a very bad end, let's say. But of course, there are female warriors. Joan of Arc is probably the best example, right? With a kind of mystical visions as well. So it's quite intriguing. But yeah, as a general rule, if men go to war, then women have to keep the society running in some way. So
Exactly. And I was wondering about Madame Pele. You ever heard of that? In Hawaii, there's a supernatural woman that prowls around the volcanoes.
oh, is that right?
And yes, it appears to be. I don't know.
Interest
haven't
you on
heard
a
of it,
pint?
but,
Be good.
she demands give her a ride. I think sometimes she's like a hitchhiker. If you don't give her a ride, I think bad things happen.
No. Associating women and volcanoes is pure genius, right?
Give it to the Hawaiians, right?
Yeah. Did somebody say you should eat dinner off that plane one day? No. This is the god that kicked out Quetzalcoatl, and he's a trickster god, but he's also a tyrant. So I think I will need to get him cleaned up or something. My wife, she's devout Roman Catholic, and she hates it there. She thinks he should go at the doorway to protect the doorway. So that's what I love about Roman Catholics is they can go pagan. They can out pagan anybody when you get them in the right mood, right?
Yeah, that's right. Indeed.
Watch, get her back.
Yeah, well, I think, I wanted to end also on my mind, and I guess we could do a whole show, or we've done it. The warrior archetype. You've, of course, written a lot about it. Very important, very absent for the male gender, and it's part of why our society is
What can I do for you?
devolving. And of course, the warrior archetype think your book is a good book to maybe you see the supernatural woman and the warrior archetype could really be a very powerful union, right, Angel? Even as union exercise in our times.
Yeah, well, definitely so. Yeah, and I think most
See you
people have
soon.
forgotten about the
You got
warrior.
my
It's the
attention.
more
Watch your
elevated
back.
thing Is that it wasn't just a man who was really good at fighting. There was more to it than that. Of course, there were codes of chivalry, perhaps, but
That's
typically, again, I mentioned
Oh, yeah,
that
we're actually.
the
Maybe I'll take that.
supernatural woman is
What is it?
What's
associated
on your
with poetry
mind?
and inspiration.
Safe
But
travel.
you also find that the warrior, the warrior who excelled was also most often a renowned poet as well. And in Japan, I'm probably butchering this term, but there is a term called Muryodo, meaning the way of the warrior in civilization, or more explicitly, the way of the warrior in literature as one. So it seems to be a pretty universal phenomenon that the warrior is also a literate, poetic master as well, or even Odin, of course, the god of war, but also a god of poetry and inspiration. So the warrior isn't purely brute force. Of course, there's an element of physical strength and physical skill and in combat, of course, but it's also more than that: ethics, chivalry, poetry, mysticism sometimes as well. So it's complicated, but yeah, sure. If you have this warrior force, or this warrior intelligence, and the supernatural woman, which is what you seem to get in myth quite often. Even the degenerate knight, of course, is a warrior who's transformed, presumably, into a much higher type of warrior by the supernatural woman, although he starts out as degenerate. So, yeah.
Very true. Yeah, it reminds me of the story when Julius Caesar took power and he tells his nephew Octavian, who would become Augustus, the most powerful emperor in all Roman. He says, "I'm going to give you a job here. You're going to be part of this magistrate or this place." And you're like, "Oh, I got to do my poetry first." You know what I mean? It was so back then. It was so important. Julius Caesar's like, all right, fine, but he wasn't a very good poet. But even Augustus knew that was a foundation. Eventually becoming so powerful.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think we've covered an excellent book, and we are at the end of this quest. So, Angel, just as usual, I have it on the show notes, just your website, anything to share with the audience. Like having an affair with a supernatural woman. Tell us, break it here on the show. Or...
That's what I am, but that's not mine.
What's her name?
I can't
Yeah,
say.
tell us. I know when he said Hindu, I'm like, all the names.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh my god, there's like 100,000.
That's right.
But I'm sure she made the right choice.
Thank you.
You're a good girl, and I'm very glad you're doing your quest here on Earth.
I'm out of range.
Me too. I'm pretty glad to have been here today as well. To you.
Likewise, Vance, I guess. Enjoy your company too. Thanks for being here.
Oh, loved it. I love the old stories, and
I can't do
definitely
that
love
here.
supernatural women. So
Yeah.
I got my fill.
Excellent.
I can think of the Santana song, The Black Men. We all have our views. So yes, we're at the end. Appreciate the audience being here. Your replay on audio or anywhere else. Support your company. Good podcast coming up on lucid dreaming, but a very different type of lucid dreaming, or like an initiation. Lucid dreaming yourself into the void and the underground. To the cave which many of these warriors go, and philosophers like Parmenides or Pythagoras or Odysseus. So yeah, good shows. We will have shows on Greece and Norse mythology, mysticism. So yeah, please join. I have a special special announcements I'll be making next week, a little serious one, but that'll wait till next week. But in the meantime, yeah, thank you, Angel. Thank you, Vance. I really appreciate you guys being there. You are amazing. Keep running with those searching for the truth and avoiding those who have found it. Keep on your quest, and I do hope you find your supernatural woman, because she will change your life. Take care, everybody. Join Patreon, AV Crime, or YouTube membership for all complete episodes and other Aeonic rewards, including monthly Q&As, a private RSS feed, exclusive Gnostic logs, articles, ebooks, and private groups. Join the resistance and escape the Black Iron prison.
Why aren't they dropping the other type of stones, huh? Is this quest worth it? It's not even worth it. I'm on it. I'm doing it.
I can't do that yet. Not enough energy. Out of energy. Not enough energy. We need to get closer. I can't do that yet.
Hey, I got the necklace. That's good. That's what I needed. Log full again. Oh, I finally got one of the kind that I wasn't dropping. Is it different types of guys that drop it? make power stones. You're looking for him too, huh? They're waiting, huh? They're waiting around for it. Maybe not. He's gonna spawn soon, I think. Oh, we got one. Nice.
I can't do that yet. I need to get closer. Not enough energy. I don't have enough energy. Not enough energy. That ability isn't ready yet. Enough energy. I can't do that yet. Not ready yet. I don't have enough energy. That ability isn't ready yet. Not enough energy. I don't have enough energy. Not enough energy. I can't do that yet. I don't have enough energy. Not enough energy. I don't have enough energy. Not ready yet. Not enough energy. Not enough energy. I can't do that yet. Not enough energy. I don't have enough energy.
Hey, you got it. Nice.
It's too far away.
Talk to me. Be good. Off with you. Be good. Off with you. Watch your back. Do I have a deal for you? Keep it real. Have a good one. Be good.
You need something?
Oh, that's when did I get that dude? He's got this.
Safe travels.
Need help?
Yeah, I did.
For the Alliance. What can I do for you? Be careful.
There's no way. It looks so good. I say. Oh. What'd you get in the van? If you riz me up really good. Alexa, turn on Riz lights. I've been waiting for this moment my whole life.
Great to meet you.
I'm definitely going in that van. Oh my god! Can you ring my help?
here. You got my attention. Off with you. Watch your back. Interest on the fight. Very good. Off with you. How are ya? Safe travels. See you soon. Here there. Watch your back. Very good. Watch your back.
Didn't see that.
Salutations! Off and away. You have a great day now. Right. Can I help you? Daylight's burning. Be seeing you.